Welcome to another episode of Turning Coal into Diamonds. And today we have Justin Rupple. I'm really excited to have you. You're the first person that I've had that I haven't really talked to in a long time. So this is going to be a really great, hopefully funny, but still just catching up for me.
Well, I wasn't going for funny. So
naturally.
I was going for tragic, but if we're going for funny, now I got to reset. So
there we go. Introduce yourself.
Justin Rupple, comedian, friend of the man who turns coal into diamonds, a voice actor, and guy who is got a lot of free time on his hands now. So,
don't we all? How's it been for you? Anything changed up? Were you already on tour or something?
I was set to go on tour all summer.
Yeah.
I had 16, 17 weeks on a cruise ship. And then I had 4 or 5 big theater shows where I was glomming onto someone else's big show, but they were still big theater shows. So
Yeah.
Those are gone. But it's funny because being a stand-up, you kind of get used to being told that what you thought was going to happen is not going to happen.
Oh, true. Real talk, actually.
Before all of this went down, every night you'd be like, oh, am I going to do 30 minutes? Oh, we cut you 30 down to 20.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
20 down to 15. And now you can't tape. And now you can't do this joke and this joke and this joke. So everything you build up in your head as a comedian to be like, this is what's going to happen. There's a big part of your brain that's like, this is actually going to happen.
Yeah. I hear that. It's so funny that you said that because the last show I had that literally happened. I went down from literally 25, I think, to 18. And that doesn't sound like a lot in some ways, but it's also that was the whole, you really have to figure out where you're going to go, what you're going to do. And just kind of
Yep.
But at the same time, you're also because for me, every show, at least from now, because when I first started, I would get really you would be able to tell if I effed up, if I went out of order and stuff on stage because I wasn't able to go with the flow. But now I just kind of have if I will bullet points and kind of however I get there, and if I get there, I don't,
Well, in the beginning of your career or beginning of life in general, you have to go with somebody else telling you to do something, and that somebody else might be you. Writing it down, from this joke to this joke to this joke. But then later on, you realize that the way you came up with those jokes wasn't this followed by this followed by this. It was just kind of I had this thought, so it came in. And when you're really being you just kind of reach for the funny, and it's there. And if you have enough up in the cloud, so to speak, you can reach for it at any time. And that's why the great comics always look like they're improvising. They don't know necessarily what they're picking from that night, unless you're recording a special and you're like, I have to get this out.
For sure.
I mean, I'd say that's the majority. Sorry, I've got allergies today. That's the majority of all of my regret in comedy is going, I forgot to do that joke because I said this one word and they laughed at that word, and that word reminded me of this joke. And if you like this one, you'll like this one.
That happens to me so I remember I shouldn't say always, but often enough I leave a show and people are like, that was so great. And it is and in my head, I try to always think stay in the goodness, the greatness, the positive, but I'm always oh fuck, I wanted to say this and I didn't say that, but then it's oh, but it was still, there it is. It's out there.
That's always the case. But now, shit, I'd take those. Take that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I miss it. But we've transferred mediums. I've got a show that I've been working on silently with. Pardon me. I've been working on silently with colleges for the last few months, doing it completely online where the audience picks the show. Because
questions?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and that is I finally just released it out to the public. So now that we're going to do it on Saturday, but you got to have some sort of audience interaction. You got to, and that's what's got to be so tough for comics right now, is that a lot of comics are introverted extroverts.
It's so funny you said that. I was just thinking that something similar, like maybe 2 hours ago, because my roommate, he's an introvert, and most people see me as an extrovert, and I am an extrovert, I would say. At the same time, I've been loving quarantine because I'm doing my own projects and all of this stuff. And as I was coming up, I was like, am I really an introvert that's able to extrovert or something? Like, what's the? And it was so crazy.
It's a category of people, and that category is, there's a lot of introverts who just don't want to be out in public ever.
Yeah.
And then I think there's another group of people who are introverts because when they are out in public, they need the public to see them really bad, and it almost scares them.
Yeah.
If they are out in public and no one sees them.
Yeah. I can relate to this, actually.
I relate to that very large. Like, if I'm being really, really honest with myself, like, the reason I love Vegas so much is that they don't give you shit for being ostentatious.
Yeah, real talk, actually. Yeah,
you can walk around in your nicest white suit or chrome or whatever, and
literally anything.
People will look at you, they'll give you the attention, but they won't go freak.
Yeah.
And so whatever you want to be, however you want to act, however you want to do to get attention, whatever that is for you, whether it be performing or gambling or throwing your money around or looking hot. That city kind of goes, we get it.
Do it. Yeah.
That's always been a thing for me, is like, I kind of need, I have to admit, I need attention, but I don't want it all the time.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
This is ringing a little too true, isn't it?
Yeah, well, because I've never really thought, I have thought about it, because I've done personal development work and stuff like that on myself. So I definitely have seen it's, given my personality, it's obvious that I would choose a job or career that I'm on stage by myself, just my own, you know what I mean? Entertaining people. That's just, it so suits me. And I'm like, wow, even how I dress and how I go out, and just not even but I want to be seen. I didn't wear this outfit not to be noticed, y'all.
Here's the thing. I think that there's a delicate balance in the world, and the delicate balance is in every single thing. And when it comes to attention like this, as you're noticing right now, there's a lot of people walking around outside or jogging.
Yeah.
And it just so happens those people are beautiful.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. Yeah. There are so many attractive men and women with their shirt off or their sports bra running right now.
Yes, I know.
And part of me is going, okay, so you're not wearing a mask, but you look like this. They looked at the risk per attention ratio.
Yeah, I know.
I need that attention.
Yeah, I know, without a doubt.
I'm not going to sit there and go, yeah, I don't get it, because I get it.
Yeah, no.
I get it. I mean, I'm a comic, so I'm not taking off the shit. I'm not. I get it. Look what we're doing right now. We're doing our own shirt off run right now.
This is it. This is this is my beach look.
Yeah, if I looked like them, I'd be out there, But
I would definitely. If I look like them, I would have to. People would stop me to tell me to put on more clothes.
Listen, we have to talk. There's so much dippage.
Real talk. Also funny you say this too, because thinking back on it, all throughout school and elementary, I always was in high school I was voted most outspoken. I wanted class clown, but I got most outspoken. And then every elementary, when they don't really give you grades, but you get satisfactory and check marks and pluses, whatever, I always got when it got to classroom participation, it was always disrupts class or something, because I'm always interjecting with something to be funny or whatever. Like that was always I was an attention whore like
You know,
that.
I did the same thing. I wasn't the clown. I probably was the clown. I wasn't trying to like distract the audience.
Yeah. I wasn't saying I would just wanted to distract, but I just like had something to say.
I didn't have anything to say. I was just literally going for laughs. Like I would fall out of my chair in class and cause damage to myself.
That's a scene.
Yeah, I thought I could just get attention for denigrating or hurting myself, you know, because I was pretty good at that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And then somewhere in middle school, I did a lip sync contest as Michael Jackson, and I used to be able to move, man. Like I could, and so I won, and I was like, performing instead of just hurting yourself, but the combination of both, you know, what if each time I did it every year from that year on, I did another Michael Jackson or Elvis Presley or something like that.
Yeah. Is that how you think you got into like impressions a little bit?
100%.
Oh, sick.
I mean, every impressionist or somebody who does voices or characters in general in their act, there was a part of time, there was a space and time in their life where they didn't have anybody to talk to, and they had to make something up.
Yeah. Real quick, let's interject because we didn't say this, but you can do like, what is it, 100 and over 150 some impressions of different people, like artists. You can sing in their voices. Like I've heard you do like Peter Griffin. I want to see you do John Legend this Saturday. I voted for that.
Okay, you're gonna have to go for John Legend. He's gonna have to be singing, but yeah,
that's what I want. I'm like, oh, I want to hear this, bro. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, look, the truth is, it's all about. I loved all those performers. Everybody on that list, I loved something about them. Something so much that I'd listened to them long enough that I was willing to be that person for a little bit. You know, it's when you're a kid and you don't like yourself or you want to fit in, you'll do just about anything. And I realized at an early age, I'm like, okay, my voice was really high.
Oh, really?
And when I was a little kid, I was really small and really high pitched voice. So I tried to lower it to sound more adult.
Interesting. I did that to sound more straight.
I can imagine. Do you still go into do you still have a default, I'm taking it down a peg?
No, well, no, but I have a joke about how I used to when I worked at a telemarketing place where like sometimes you don't know who you're talking to. So then I would do that. But like now I'm so like wherever I am, like I haven't, well, maybe I would say like when I'm with like, cause my family's super religious and super, like my mom and my grandmother, I'm the same with, like they raised me, they know me, whatever. But there's family members that are like maybe fresh off the boat, like literally just came to America like last month. And I'm like, welcome to America. I ease into it.
Little shoulder move, less color in the voice. I think we all have a default like acceptance voice. You know what I mean? Like, because we know each other and have for years. I'm talking to you like, you know, we know each other. But if I get a call from a radio disc jockey for a promotion, I'll do that radio voice. Like, do we have Justin on the phone? I'm like, hi, you got Justin Rupple here. How's it going?
Love it.
You know, I'm really excited about this upcoming show this weekend, and I think it'll be a great opportunity. I sound like that.
Wow, that's so crazy.
Yeah, well, it's you know, you want to fit in. You try to We all try to figure out. I think it's like a little bit of your life you're trying to fit in, and then the rest of your life you're trying to stand out. And
completely. Yeah. And like even at some parts, it was really like so funny that we're having this conversation because I was thinking about all this shit earlier today. Because like I was remembering in first grade, I got picked on a little bit, not like a lot, but enough. I told my mom. And that was when I went to a private school for the next, however, like 8 years, 7 years, something like that. And like I just always was so different. Like I never knew about being gay or whatever, but I just always stood out, and so it was always a thing. And so I remember like not trying to be straight, but always just trying to be like everybody else, you know, not being so over the top or exaggerated with like whatever, you know what I mean? And it's then there became a part of my life where I was like, oh, I'm gonna just exaggerate it more, so almost even to like on the other spectrum, you know.
We all go through like the peacock stage where you're like, wait a second, this stuff behind my ass is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let me shake a little bit. Like in college, I had that, you know, like I was loud, you know, I drove a yellow car with a loud sound system. You know, I had like, I wanted to be in a boy band. I spent a lot of time in the gym. I would take my shirt off.
Can you dance?
Yeah, I danced. I wanted to be Justin Timberlake or JC Styles as, you know, that was the original goal, because, you know,
I love it.
Every comic wants to be a musician more than they want to be a comic.
I think I didn't know that was a thing, but now that you say that's true, if I could sing, if I could do like I would, because like I can dance, and I take like hip hop like dance classes and stuff like that too. And so there's so many times that I'm just like, man, if I could just fucking be a musician, I would be a pop star. I would be fucking.
Bro, from your lips to God's ears, man. You know, like when I was growing up, like, look, getting people to laugh at your jokes is incredible. It lifts you up from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what it's like to start saying something and a sea of people already know what you're going to say. And sing it back to you. And those were just words in your head. They're not surprised. They're thankful you're giving them that. And then they sing it back. Like, if laughter is like walking on the clouds, then singing it back to you is like those clouds carrying you.
Like, as you said that, I was just like, that's a high right there, I'm sure. Like, that's like, I'm like, damn, that's real. And especially because, like,
why they get into heroin, man. That's why
damn,
there's no way you can come down from that shit.
real talk. Right. When you say that too, what comes to mind, even because I feel like you've been, especially at the beginning, you know what it's like doing bringer shows, bringing people, and sometimes you've said jokes, so they've heard you say it enough times or whatever, and you like have some people that'll be like, oh, can you say a different one? And I feel like with musicians, like Beyonce, at least, she could sing every damn album, and I would just be like, yes, don't stop, do it again.
In order.
One more time.
She could do it in order.
Like, and any artist too. And I feel like comedy is one of those things where it's like, wow, we kind of want something, we want it new. Like, like at least, and I mean, there are jokes that are long lasting and stand out, you know, all that stuff too. But to go with the musician thing, I'm like, yeah, that's so crazy.
There's two groups of artists out there that are identical to each other, and no one ever realizes it. It's magicians and comedians.
Yeah.
If I show you the same trick once, twice, you're gonna be like, that's cool to watch a second time. If I had to show you the third time, you're like, this hack. Right? It's the same thing with comedians. And it's also a magician's job is to make you think you're going to do one thing and then do a completely different thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do it right, if you do magic right, you can't help but go, oh,
yeah.
You know, like, that's what it evokes a response you can't even help.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as comedy.
Completely.
Whereas actors and musicians, if they play a sad song or they're doing a sad scene, they know you're gonna feel sad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they know it. They've got all the tools to guarantee.
That's what they want. I want that as an actor. Like, I want you to feel the emotion of the scene, you know?
Yeah. But in comedy, sometimes I want to piss you off because the thing you're holding on to is wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and
real talk.
They want to intentionally rub you the wrong way so that you feel, you see how everybody else is laughing at this? It's because you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a joke about bathroom legislation, you know, and I was like, I want I want all bathrooms to be for everybody.
Okay,
Like,
I like it.
I want all bathrooms to be for everybody. And the way I go into it is like, first of all, I want that because I can't stand being in there with guys anymore in the airport. Like, guys in the airport are like, I saw a guy in the stall clipping one of his toenails
Oh
while
my
he was on the phone.
God damn.
And I'm like, look, dude, I was like,
Damn, that's too much multitasking right there. That's too much.
I can't, but as a guy, I can't tell that guy to knock it off. But you know who could? His mother.
Oh my.
Like, if his
Real
mom was
talk.
in there with him and she saw him doing that, she'd pull him out by his toe, be a
Real
sandal
talk.
removed, and kick his ass, right? And I'm like, that's gotta
Real
be,
talk.
you know, that's gotta be the way it is. And I was like, well, and then somebody is still gonna argue, well, bathrooms have always been men and women. You can't change something that always was. And I was like, well, bathrooms were different in the 50s.
Yeah, bro, you definitely
We changed those bathrooms,
I'm
didn't
like,
we?
that's a horrible. We can't do
And
that.
then the last part of the joke is it pisses some people off. Where, you know, after the guy comes back and says, you know, well, just because bathrooms change doesn't mean that we should change this. I want to go into the bathroom and know I'm safe in the bathroom and I don't have to worry about other people or think about other people in there. I just want to go in there and use the restroom. And I go, and that's the point transgender people have been making for 20 years.
Oh my God, real talk. Thank you. Thank you.
And if you make that point and if they're pissed off at that point, they should understand that everybody's clapping.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do is just
Yes.
equality is when only one group inequality is when only one group feels like they don't have access to something that others don't even notice they have access to.
Yes, real talk.
You know, and
Real
that's the difference between, you know, where we are legislatively and where we have somewhere to go.
Goodness gracious, yeah.
Yeah, no one has an understanding of, because the law isn't on your side, you feel like you're living against the law.
Yeah.
And if you're living against the law just being who you are, what kind of message is that to send to any person, especially a nation that prides itself on freedom and liberty, to be like, you can go ahead and be what you want, but our law says you can't marry, you can't use this bathroom, you can't
be fired from your job.
You can be you can't enlist, you can't do any of these things that everybody else just takes for granted.
Can't give blood, dude. I technically cannot give blood right now still. Yeah. And I'm universal too, bitches, so you should want it.
Those O's. Those O's,
man.
Yeah. No, it is the thing I like about comedy the most. That is, if you do it really, really well, the good television shows in history, the ones who keep you laughing for 97%, and then all of a sudden they go, and this.
Ding, there you go. Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was the funniest show on TV until one episode they decided to really talk about absentee fatherhood, parent, and that, you know, what
the one where her dad leaves him. Yeah.
If that's not the first episode you think of at Fresh Prince, I don't know what is.
That's like so wild. It's
you
said that I knew immediately what you were talking about.
It's a kid's show. It's like a kid. It was a kid's show, but I'll be damned if that's not, you know, what it is. When I grew up, Boy Meets World was like my favorite show.
Dude, my friend, you know Rio. I can even say, like, you know Rio. He watches Boy Meets World all the time, and we chill a lot now. And dude, we were watching it. I was like, yo, I did not know this show used to hit. This show used to freaking, like, that was some
Mr.
good
Feeney.
Yo, Mr. Feeney was coming out here with some real, like,
that son of a bitch, man.
Like,
every day, if he didn't bring you in for a landing of morality, you were
real.
And smooth
operator, boy. He was killing it.
But that's comedy at its best, and that's why occasionally it gets looked down on, because people think it's just about laughter. But Chris Titus said it best. If you can get people laughing for 45 minutes, they'll give you 5 minutes to let them in.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
You only get 5. You only get 5. Then they're like, back to the jokes.
Yeah. No, I get that. It's so crazy that you say that too, because my last show was one of the first shows that I feel like I've added that, because it's something that I was been trying to figure out for me how to do. And for the first like 2 years, I was trying to still figure out, because I was comparing myself to a world of like a lot of my comrades are straight white male comics in a way, you know what I mean? And not to be that person, but it's true, you know what I mean? And as a gay Black man, I'm like, well, one, I want to be as funny, but like, how do I do it and still try and relate, but still try and be myself? And I feel like I've always been really good at that. And not until the last, like, I would say 3 years that I've been really able to like, so let that, because I really feel like now I see that there's a place for everybody to shine differently. Like your comedy is different than my comedy, which is different than Care with the K's comedy with TK, you know what I mean? And we're all like phenomenal, you know what I mean? And what I love is just like now being able to, because like I have in my last set, I did something where I talked about you can still be fired from your job as a gay or trans person and stuff like that in some states. And like it came shocking to some people. And I was like, well, bitch, I want y'all to learn something here today too. And then like, but then it started, like, then I got funny again. And it was just like that was one of my favorite shows so far now, because like I've been always trying to figure out how I can still give a message and not just be a funny person. You know what I mean? Especially like, cause I feel like you can especially relate, like nowadays we all have this, whatever platform we can to like make people hear something. Like you were just talking about, like I want people to think about, like I don't care how you feel about it, but at least think about it before you leave here, you know what I mean? And see other people around you, how they're reacting, you know what I mean? Like so real.
It's a lesson that I'm trying to learn every single day, and every time you go up and do a set, you learn it a little bit more, that the human condition and experience is not all that different from one another in a metaphorical sense. We're all going to grow up in different households with different income levels, different looks, different weights, different heights, whatever. But the experience of love and feeling hated, and I was just saying this the other day, because of social media, some of the unrest we're feeling now is groups of people who have never felt oppressed or hated are now, when they go online, they see people who hate them. You know what I mean? Like when people talk about Karens, you know, like when they're like, they're laughing at Karens. So let's imagine in the life of a Karen. She's been around people who's always just kind of accepted her. And now when she goes to her Instagram or she goes to her Twitter, because that's her new world, there are thousands upon millions of people using her name or her attitude as a derogatory, I hate this bitch. And now people are like, but you know, I just do my hair like this. I couldn't be hated just for the way, and you're like, it's called hatred. Completely. This is a time and place in our world history where all oppression isn't equal. But now, because of the openness, at least you can feel it.
Oh my goodness, and see it. You can't really be ignorant to it nowadays. You know what I mean?
You can't, and because you can. I want to do this. You know, these are the jokes I was writing to go out, but you know, like I wanted to raise your hand in an audience if you know what it's like to have a group hate you, and every person in that audience would definitely raise their hand. Completely. Doesn't matter what race you are. Doesn't matter economic level. They can point out to what group it is that those people hate me just for being me. And you're like, okay, that's the first time in history that's happened. Because go back in other nations, you know, like if you're Italian, you know, and you're living in Italy, you could be like, maybe the only people who hate me are the Germans, but not here in Italy. You know, like, real talk. There was a sense of unity, or I'm not the one who's hated, you know, but now because of our ability to tribalize and organize into groups, now we do that so much that we can really lay it on thick, where people who really have no right to feel like your life is bad or
like the Karens.
Yeah, like the Karens. Yeah, like the Karens, like
Yeah.
the upper middle class people who are like, your life is great right now.
Yeah.
Those people, the perception is reality. And if every single day they're clicking on buttons that they don't like seeing, I don't like this article, and really they said that, then the algorithm will keep showing them that. You know, like that's the kind of messed up thing that happens, is that our every day is now being influenced by what we tell the computer to show us.
Oh, so real. Like just even because I started a podcast, and before I started it, I was looking up just like books or masterclass things to learn. Like that's all I see now, and just like different, like anything I search, it's now like a sponsored ad on Instagram or something, and it's just like it's so wild. It's like,
and if you walk out into the public and start talking to somebody and you're like, God, I saw another one of those ads for microphones today. You know, they're all over everywhere. I guess everybody in the world's starting a podcast, and they'd be like, no, everybody's knitting. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's your algorithm, man. Like it's so much so now that it's like, oh shit, we're all swept up in it. Like it's the few sociology, and well, I was a minor or major, and I can't remember. One of the majors was sociology, but like I had to get a couple degrees because it took so long to get out of college.
Got it.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, it took so long because you had so many degrees.
No. No, I wish that.
I say this as like I didn't finish college, and both my half siblings have masters. So, well, my brother has 2.
I think, dude.
Yeah, Jesus. I know.
I think some schooling after high school is important, whatever you decide to do. Yeah. I don't think the degree is important as the act of doing it.
Yes. Yeah.
Just to feel like a continuing form of education.
Real talk.
Some kind.
Yeah.
You know,
I went up into my junior year, and I was doing public communications, and at that level of where I was at, I was like, I can just do this. I can just do what I want to go do, and I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to, like, if I have to come back, I will come. Like, I didn't hate school. I was really good at school, actually, and I love school, especially being, like we just talked about, like I shined in school, you know what I mean? I had friends, like classes, teachers, like, you know, I had a good life. Either way, but I'm sorry, continue.
No, it's feeding right into what I was saying. It's just that you, at some point, you're trying to just, you got to grow your own perception of what reality is, you know. But if we're in a time and place in society where the algorithm of what we see and hear is determined by us, and now not by outside factors, then it's very easy to see why, when you're like, this person believes what? How could you possibly believe this utter line of bullshit? And you're like, well, because everything they click on confirms that bias. That's confirmation bias is where I got off on the sociology tangent, is that there's a lot of the things that we already believe. Yeah. And we go out to find evidence of what we already believe.
Yeah. And I also want to add that, and people are just lazy to go actually look up. So I find that people, because I like to get different sources, no matter where it is. I want to hear what everybody's saying, so I get a round picture rather than just like one-sided news. Because literally, what's so funny about, because I think people aren't willing to just look deeper into things even. So one of my friends actually posted something today, and it was just so funny. It was a video, and it was titled, "What the Government Doesn't Want You to Know About the Government Shut-In," or whatever, this quarantine, basically. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, this is probably one of those, like, it's a troll of some sort. Like, you click it, it's going to be some vastly different, but whatever. And the very first comment was this person that's like, we need to stay in, like, lives are at stake, and just like literally like this much writing. And I was like, did this person click? Like, let me see what this is. I clicked the video. The first thing is it's that Rick Roll thing. Like, I don't want to give you like whatever. And I was like, she didn't even fucking click the video.
Yep.
Didn't even click the. I was like, the time that she took to write that whole damn paragraph is longer than that 17-second Rick Roll thing.
Bro, I'm a journalism comm major, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And
same.
Yeah. And
well, you have the paper.
First things we learned, one of the first things we learned was how to grab people's attention with headlines and how to keep it legal.
Yeah.
You know, how to ensue something without, liabus.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read a lot of these articles, like like I read one the other day that the headline was, I'm paraphrasing, but it was something to the effect of, researchers say the future in Los Angeles is even worse than they could have imagined.
Yes.
And that was the headline on LA Times. And I'm like, good Lord, I got to read this, right? So I read it. And 4 sentences in, I saw the line that I needed to see.
Yeah. What was
that said, researchers fear, given some of the data, we may, and then there was the headline. So some of the data we may.
Yeah.
Those lines right there let me know that the person didn't look directly at the journalist and go, we're so screwed. It's worse than we've ever imagined. Exactly. What they said was,
this could be probably horrible.
If some of these data points prove true, it could be worse than we imagined.
Yeah.
Which is different than the headline.
Completely.
That is all that is us not being able to contextualize or again, feeding into a confirmation bias, whatever the confirmation may be. And everybody is going to go into one of those with some things they're holding on to. And whether or not we take it in and read fully, whether it's alarmist or the opposite of alarmist, you're coming into it with a set of beliefs. And if you really openly read it, by dismissing those beliefs while you're reading it, you got a better shot.
Real talk.
You just got a better shot. And I'm not agreeing with any side of anything. I'm just saying that if you want to get an objective opinion, then while you're reading and listening, that's the time in which you're open. When they're done talking or when you're done reading, that's contemplation time. So you fully let it in for there, and then when you go back over, you're like, nah, that was all bullshit.
No,
I let you in.
For sure.
And you confirmed, and that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? But give it that open shot.
Totally.
That's it.
I love that.
I mean, look, it's not everything I say, just like I hope everybody else, everything I say is like what I wish I was doing.
Yeah. I mean, real talk, right? Real talk. I should be so much more informed than I am about almost everything.
I can find myself going after my own confirmation bias all the time. It doesn't matter what I'm reading. Mm-hmm. I mean, I try not to be. And I think that's one of the things that's more prevalent in comedians is they try to look at the opposite side more, because that may be where the funny is.
Where the funny is, exactly. I mean, use the left turn or whatever, the unexpected, whatever, all of it.
Standing up for things that shouldn't be stood up for, or like, I can't remember, the guy who does the joke right now, he was on Conan and he did his joke about what the hell's wrong with Guy Fieri. Like, why do you guys hate this guy?
Yeah.
And then he breaks down why Guy Fieri is awesome.
Yeah.
While also kind of making fun of his look and personality.
All of it, yeah.
But he's defending Guy Fieri when we've been shitting that guy for like 5
all
years.
The time. Yeah, exactly.
And it turns out a couple of days ago, Guy Fieri raised $20 million, and he put in millions of his own dollars to pay out
fund or something. Yeah, totally.
God damn it. This guy, but it took a comedian.
Yeah.
Like if it turns
funny.
out, if it turns out all along, Nickelback was like the U2 of music, you know, like they cured malaria in Colombia. You know? I'd be like,
Nickelback,
look at this photograph.
U2.
You know what I mean? Like,
U2's not even U2 anymore. You remember when they, on the iPhone, they made us have their album and every single person was like, I don't even have the storage for this shit. Take this shit out of here. I still have that shit in my music freaking folder.
They only have 2 songs that I can listen to and not vomit. And it's just because of self-righteousness. It's just like, look, I get that they make good music, but I can't hear it over the sound of Bono's self-righteousness.
OMG, I love this. So I have a question for you about going back to your impressions. How do you add new ones to your repertoire? Like, how do you practice? How do you rehearse it? How do you step into their shoes?
So I usually I go through down times when I'm not watching new stuff. When I'm not watching new television, new film, I go through a dead period. But like in this downturn, I started watching The West Wing, and at the same time I was watching Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
And there's a through line there. It's Rob Lowe.
Oh, yes, Rob Lowe. I love him. He's so hot.
But I realized after watching maybe 30 hours or 40 hours of Rob Lowe talking, I realized that I now know how he's going to talk and certain words he's going to say and how he says them because I've watched 35, 40 hours of it.
Wow, okay.
And after 30 or 40 hours of it, he'll say a line and I'll say it back to him. He'll say, sure, that is literally the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I can even see his face through your face almost.
Because then he says it to the screen and I say it back to him. Was it, Rob? Was it literally the greatest thing you've ever seen? Was it? And now I'm into his character. Now I'm not making fun of him. I'm like, I know where you're going with this. I've got you. Yeah. And in order for me to do an impression, I have to know what you're gonna think before you think it. And it took a while. The second I can get that, and they're a male voice that's below us, like a high tenor, I'll be able to get it. It'll just take some time.
But and how many hours of Cat Williams did you have to watch to get Cat Williams?
Since I know my mother will watch this if you put it out publicly, my mom and I watched The Pimp Chronicles.
Oh, no way.
50 to 60 times.
Wow, I'm crying.
and his opening to that Pimp Chronicles where he's talking about, he's like, that song is so good that you could do anything to it, where he's, making hamburgers and then, all that shit. He had me so hard laughing, and then slipped in real knowledge about life. Like when he's talking about his son and he's like, you can spend $100 on a gift. You can spend it. Or you can go to the dollar store, wrap up 100 tiny little presents, put that shit under the tree, watch as your kid come downstairs like, oh my God, Daddy is the greatest daddy. I have 100 presents to open. That's such a good message to tell a middle or lower class or upper class parent.
Yeah.
You could spend $100 and buy one thing, or every day you could show them a little bit of love by buying them tiny little things. It's a thing.
Real
it's a continuous show of it instead of a one-time demonstration.
Yeah.
And like when he was also subversively telling parents, hey, you're the one who influences your kid. If you tell them they can jump higher in Jordans, then you're an idiot. Take them to the store. Try on the Jordans. Now go over here, try on the Spider-Mans. Now on the Spider-Mans. That's all I'm saying. Now for the price of an Air Jordan, the daddy can buy you all day, every day. I can buy you a Spider-Man, an Iron Man, I'll be damned if that little bitch isn't walking out the store like, I got 15 sneakers, the ones with the lights in the back and all. Cost $100.
Real talk.
So if you got a message,
yeah,
then I'm gonna copy everything about you, and the more new stuff that comes in, the better. You know,
yeah.
like anybody new that I'm suddenly like, oh, I didn't even notice they were around the whole time. You know, then that has to be something. The second thing is it has to be somebody who has a definite voice. Like for a long time, people have always been like, well, do Paul Rudd. And I'm like,
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
can you imagine what he sounds like in your head?
no. I just think of Ant-Man, honestly. Like I just
Yeah,
see
of
it.
course you do. You can
Yeah.
think of like maybe lines and movies he's been in, but
Yeah,
never really voice.
yeah.
But occasionally you'll come across someone like Jason Bateman, who I do. No one does a Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
And the reason they don't do it is because they don't realize he has a particular pattern of the way he speaks. And then once you figure it out, it's now you can't unhear
Yeah,
it.
he's very similar in movies. Like, I mean, he plays so many different characters, but like
He starts all of
does.
his sentences at a high peak and then slowly works his way down to a condescending quiet tone. So he'll be like, hey, let me talk to you for a second. Can I talk to you? Are you sure about what you're doing? Because I don't think you do. I don't think you do. And that little bit of pattern there, like he'll be like, I've been walking around looking at the things, and I don't think they're going very well. I don't think it's going well. Do you think it's going well? Probably not. Probably not.
That's perfect.
And it's like, and it's similar to Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is the same thing, except he has caps on his teeth, so he has a slight overbite lisp.
You're really like you're paying attention. Like,
oh yeah, well, I mean,
crazy.
watch. Here's Ryan Reynolds doing the same thing. I don't even know what's going on right now. Now, yes, there's just this tiny little bit there that goes over the front of his teeth. I don't know if you noticed that, but
I'm like, wow, like that was. You could just do Deadpool.
Yeah, I do. I match him in movies on occasion.
That's so great. That was so great.
You got to find the little things that people do in order to make a great impression. You know, I've heard people do impressions of me, and it's hilarious because they figured out that I stutter like Obama, right? He'd always say two things. If you asked him ask Obama a question.
What's your favorite artist? Or who's your favorite artist?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I think right now, without a doubt, if I were to give you what is on my iPod, I'd probably go with Kendrick Lamar.
Oh.
But on the other hand, if we're talking over a period, over my life, Marvin Gaye.
Oh, okay.
So it's always two. You know, like if you ask him his opinions on guns. Now, I you know, the Second Amendment is critical. It's a part of what we do as a nation, these civil liberties. On the other hand, not all of it should be accessible.
Yes.
So it's all one thing, then the other. He's arguing against himself, and I do that thing a lot.
I
so
love that.
An impression of me.
Yeah.
Say something and then stutter in a low voice, and you got it. You know, like
that's so good. That's so good. That was beautiful. I was like, damn, that's Obama too. Like that's why. Like, when did you start bringing your impression into comedy, or did you always do that? Like, did you always mix the two?
Before I had a voice, I would just do only impressions. I think I started in 2006. Yeah, right after I graduated college, 2006.
Yeah.
And so I was doing George W. Bush. You know, I was doing
that was Walken, killer.
You know, like, but you know, they were just basic jokes. I didn't have anything to say in their voices. I just had their voices were funny. You know.
Yeah.
And I was doing all the classic impressions that everybody was tired of hearing and so forth. But eventually I wanted to write my own material.
Yeah.
As I started to write my own material, organically over time, as I would just start kind of riffing, the voices would start to pop in and out, like this could be funny here, or this could be funny here. And then I started to separate them into two totally different categories. So like if you go to see me on tour on a cruise ship, I separate the celebrity impressions into a whole category and put everything else into this other category. So for like 45 or 40 minutes of a show, I'll be doing straight up jokes and storytelling and, act outs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that you don't go into it being like, well, he's just doing other people's voices.
Yeah. I love that.
But at the same time, I love voices. So I'm not going to take it out of my act. So I got to find some way to give an audience a wide variety. Like Frank Caliendo, I got to see him once, and it was an hour of impressions.
Yeah.
Which is fine if I'm doing it with you in the room. You know what I mean? Like an hour of impressions is incredible if I'm saying, "Ooh, do this."
Yes.
Ooh,
yeah.
do this.
Yeah.
But if you spend 12 minutes on John Madden, just on, I'm like, that's why the show I created that we're doing on Saturday, again, just impressions available Saturday. I don't pick it. I don't pick the voices. You do. I give the list out to everybody. I say, you pick out what you want.
Let's be exciting.
Yeah, because right now everybody has got to be, anything that's coming in is what somebody else wants. You watch this Netflix show. We've got this on Hulu. Here are my jokes. What if I was like, you tell me what you want to hear?
Yeah, real talk. I like that.
We gotta.
Us, the people, like to be in charge or feel like we are, at least.
Yeah, there's got to be at least an illusion of it.
Right.
In magic,
right.
they call it a forced pick. Like, they got 3 bags there. Like eliminate the bags. Like you're gonna pick which bag we look into. Right. And if they point at the bag with the thing in it, then they go, all right, then that's the one you want. And they eliminate those. But if you point at the bag without it in it, they go, all right, eliminate this bag. Now, which one of these?
I like that. Do you do magic? You've said a few things that alluded to it.
I have spent a lot of time with prestidigitarians on cruise ships.
Got it.
They are awesome people.
I'm sure.
Magicians, they are a little wacky, but
are we all though?
Yeah.
But they take it to another level.
I know why they're wacky, because they elicit wonder. Like painting, sculpting, maybe that's about as close as you can get to wonder. Like, wow.
Yeah.
How did they do that? Like, you and I may call Dave Chappelle a god, like he's a god because he's the comedian hero. But like, nobody else calls him a god. He's like, he's a joke teller. But a magician,
real talk.
A magician will walk on air. They'll float. All that shit.
Yeah, really take them.
I only got 5 minutes left, my friend.
Perfect. No, I was just going to start wrapping it up. Honestly, you kind of already, I was going to say, do you want to plug anything? But I think you kind of plugged Just Impressions. But where can they find you? Things like that.
Yeah, on the Facebook page where you're going to see this, or on Instagram, just follow me at The Rupple. That's my last name, TheRupple. Or on Facebook, just friend me right now, and the link is available. It'll be this Saturday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and available to you on my Ticket Leap website. The tickets are available there. So I can't wait to do that, man.
Perfect. Awesome. And for you guys can always find this on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. And then I'm on I Am Gerard Cole, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and turning coal into diamonds.com. But as always, make sure you guys are turning coal into diamonds, baby.
I love it.